Well, hello there and welcome. I'm Marsha and I'm known as Very Little on all of the social media. Welcome back if you are a returning viewer, and welcome if this is your first time checking me out. So this is a podcast all about knitting and things I'm working on, crafty things. Today it's all knitting and some of my designs that I'm working on. So let's just dive right in, shall we? I have this really awesome mug that I was given for my birthday from one of my girls, and it's from Elements Pottery, and it's my friend Shannon who does this beautiful pottery. It's got my coffee in there, and I love it. How she does it, she makes it so it fits into your hand perfectly when you're holding it, which I really love that. And her work is really amazing. So if she has a website, I'll just pop it down below. Otherwise, I'll just post what her Instagram is so that you can go and take a look at her stuff. It's so beautiful. So I'm going to show you a finished object. I talked about these on an episode before, and I just showed that they were a finished object. These are not available yet. So these are my Fingerless Mittens, and somebody has this yarn. So it is Felici Time Traveler. So Knit Picks Felici Time Traveler is the colorway. And I got such a nice response to them that I'm actually working on the pattern right now for these. So I've knit a second pair, and I have the ends to weave in still. So they're almost finished. Just count them as finished for the purpose of the podcast. I was actually just weaving in the ends. And I'm working on the different sizes right now as well. So I'm knitting it in a couple different sizes. So So this is my second pair, and they're very, very comfy. So this yarn is super scrumptious. It is actually a cashmere blend. It's by Riverstone Yarns, and it's called Rocky Mountain. So pretty. And it's 80% merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. This yarn is so soft. If you want soft, go with some cashmere, I tell you, because it is so comfy. And I have about this much. I have this much yarn left over after they're all done. So this pattern is going to be available. It's not available yet. As soon as it is, you'll know. I will be needing some test knitters for this one as well, but it hasn't even gotten to my tech editor yet because I'm still working on the sizing. So, but they're coming. They're so pretty, and I love how long they are. So you don't get the gust of air up your sleeve when you're outside in the winter. And they also come down like this, so you still get the warmth for your hands and thumbs, but then you can still text as you want to. So that is finished, and now I'm working on another one, and I'll show you that. So this one is a child size. I know it looks eensy teensy, but it's really super stretchy, so it's really good. And this yarn is Into the World Yarn and Fiber Co., and it's called the Cat's Pajamas. So it's so pretty. It has purple and blue and turquoise and white specks in it. Just cover it with my hand because it's so little. So I got a request from one of my girls to knit her a pair, and she came down into my yarn room and picked the yarn. So I started working on these yesterday, I believe. I've been having a cast on party, and I cast on a bunch of things because there's other things that I'm working on that I should be working on, but they're not moving as quickly as I want them to be. So I've been casting other things on instead. So I have another finished object, and this is a simple toque that I designed and knit, I just grab some needles and some yarn. This is Luminosa yarn. This isn't the same color. This one's a purple and this one's a pink, but it has a shiny undertone. It's really, really pretty. It's very soft to work with, and it was really fun. It was a very, very quick knit. I cast it on the night before, and then I finished it yesterday, and all I need to do now is put a pom-pom on it to finish it off, and it will be done. I feel like it needs a pom-pom. So this one was very quick knit. It's very simple, and I'm going to tell you right now because you're watching the podcast, so you get a special treat. So I used 4mm needles, and I cast on 100 stitches. It's a 1x1 knitted rib, and you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rows of knit 1, purl 1. Then you knit straight all the way up till from the base is the length of your hand. Then you decrease, you knit 2 together every 8 stitches, and then the next row every 7 stitches, and then the next row every 6 until you've knit every single one. Then you run your yarn through twice and you weave in your ends, and there you have a hat. You're welcome. The next thing, I have 2 more things to show you, and that'll be it for the knitting. So the first thing I have to show you, the next thing I have to show you is I've been working on another Okanagan orchard, and it has been re-released. I reworked the pattern. I have shown you another version that I knit recently, but I wanted to do it in a darker color, so I cast it on in this beautiful like blue and green colored yarn. There's little specks of green in it. So that it's lace weight yarn, so it's a lighter yarn, which I really enjoy knitting with lace weight yarn. It's one of my favorites. The sensation of knitting with really fine yarn, I really, really like that. So I do enjoy knitting with lace weight yarn, but this yarn especially, it is handmade yarn, Marrakesh, 70% silk and 30% baby camel, and it is it's in the ocean colorway. And there's the colorway up here in that corner. It is so beautiful to knit with. This is definitely a luxurious yarn to knit with. It is so soft and so smooth, and it's just a dream to work with. I love like just squishy, soft yarn to work with, stuff that is just like slides through your fingers nicely and just has such a beautiful finish. When this is done, it is going to look amazing, and I'm very, very excited about it. So the needles that it is on are Chowgu red lace, and right now these are actually my go-to needles. They're in everything right now. Almost everything. My next thing they're not in. So this is the needles that I used for the hat that I just knit. And this is so nice. The needles are so smooth. And with Chowgu red lace, when you first get them, they kind of feel like they have a bit of a coating, but once you get your first row done, they're so smooth. And I love a brand new pair of needles when you've got that little bit of a coating, and then you knit with it and it just goes smooth, like that transition between the grippiness and the smoothness. That moment in between is really nice. And I really, really like that. And is there any like sensations that knitting brings you that you really like? Just put that in the comments below, because I want to know what you guys think, and what are sensations that you enjoy about knitting, because I don't know if that's a weird thing that I like that, or if other people also enjoy that. So the final thing I'm working on, this is a work in progress. This is not finished at all. I cast on a pair of Slouchies, which is one of my designs, and I'll post a picture here of what the Slouchies look like. I cast this on, but I wanted to try it without, the pattern calls for to go up a needle size. And I wanted to try it without going up a needle size for the slouchy part and make them not slouchy. It is a brioche sock pattern, and look at how pretty it is coming out. These are high sharps that I'm using in this, and this is the brioche pattern without going up a needle size. It's so pretty. I love it. When I first started knitting it, it looked like that, and I was like, oh, it's not going to be enough contrast. Like, I hope that the pink stands out, and it does. And they're both self-striping yarns, and I'll show you them in a second, but they self-stripe through each of these colors. So I really love how that is turning out. It is so pretty. These colors are so nice to work with. The yarn is Prolana Meine wool, and I saw them together and I thought they were so pretty. I knew I wanted to make them into socks together, but I didn't know which ones. And then I pulled out my slouchy pattern and I thought, that's perfect. They go so nicely together. And it's just like, it looks like a huge contrast when they're side by side, but when you get it together, it's a subtle contrast. And I really think that's very pretty. So if you're interested in the Slouchies pattern, I am going to make that edit in the actual pattern. So you have a choice. You can go up a needle size for like the really slouchy leg, or you can just maintain your needle size and get a really just cool leg. So if you're interested in that, it's in my Ravelry shop and everything's linked below so that you can see it and easily click into it. So that is that. Now it's time for Jibber Jabber. So if you were just here for the knitting content, that's it for me for today for that. So thanks for joining me. And if you enjoy this, why don't you just go click the subscribe button and that little bell so that you'll get notified when I post episodes. I also post extra content on Mondays, which can be anything really. And then I keep the knitting on the Thursday. So if you were just here for the knitting, thanks for joining me. And for those of you who are in for the Jibber Jabber, let's go. So if any of you checked out my cleaning up my craft room with me last week, I would be interested in hearing what you think about how messy it was and then to how clean it got. I need to go through so much stuff still and get rid of a lot of it. There's a lot of like sewing things that I need to go through. With the podcast, I made bags at one point, and I have a whole bunch of bags cut out and ready to put together. And I haven't really decided if I'm going to actually put them together, maybe put them in my Etsy shop and just sell them, or if I'm going to just donate all of the supplies or sell them on like Facebook Marketplace as cutout bags that need to be put together. I don't know. That's one thing that I've been thinking about is like the direction I want things to go in. I know I do not have enough time to be making bags full time, as well as podcasting and doing episodes for twice a week and then designing on top of that. So I'm just thinking about what I want to do with those things. Maybe I'll hang on to it a little bit longer and might be able to find time later. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know where I'm gonna go with that. I do know that the thing that I enjoy the absolute most is the designing part of everything and the knitting, of course. So I know that is where my heart is, and that is the direction that I'm currently going, and that I want to continue going in. But I still have other things that I don't know if I'm going to I had been doing that I don't know if I will continue or bring back or whatever. But I might do some kind of like a sew day and get a bunch of them done and then just get them out into the world right away, and then they're done. At least, I don't know. If you'd be interested in purchasing one of my bags, let me know below, and then I'll weigh that against actually doing it versus just talking about it or getting rid of my stuff. So if there's enough interest, I will definitely consider sewing them up and then putting them up in my shop. But it would be a limited time thing. It wouldn't be something going into the future. It would just be to get my stock depleted and to be able to move forward with a clean slate. And so it would be a limited time bags. My other life stuff is going really well. I have been just plunking away. I spend a lot of time working on podcast stuff, designing, editing, and I have a website that's coming up. But there's also a whole bunch of other stuff in the background that I still can't talk about yet. But it's going in a really, really positive direction, which I'm very happy with. I have a lot of support for myself and the girls, and that is going in a really positive direction. So I'm very happy with that. There's a lot going on. If you're somebody who has ever left a really bad situation, you know that there's a lot of steps. But I'm in a really good place of healing, and I've really been focusing on that because there's a reason I got into the situation I got into and accepted what I accepted. And so I'm looking at those things in myself that I need to work on and have been healing, and I'm feeling really good moving forward. I've had lots of really big strides, especially in the last probably 2 or 3 months. There's been a lot of movement forward. I didn't want to stay stagnant in that energy. And so I'm moving forward in the most positive way I possibly can. I'm also doing some training I'm also doing training as a Reiki master, which I'm almost done. I'm going to be meeting with another Reiki master probably on Tuesday. And this is totally separate from the knitting podcast stuff, but I've always had this thing where if somebody's in pain, and I put my hands near them, I can feel it. It's weird and I get it. It's super bizarre, but my hands actually physically heat up. And if there's something wrong within their body, I can tell people where it is. And the more pain they have, the hotter my hands get. And it actually can be physically painful for me, which is super weird. I know, I get it. I've had to work through this. But when one of my girls was little, she had a seizure, and I picked her up and I pulled her out of, she was having a nap and she had a seizure during her nap, and I went in and I picked her up, and my hands felt like they were on fire touching her. And the thing is, she never had a fever. She never had a fever that whole time. The emergency crew got there right away. They took her temperature. She'd finished it was a full grand mal seizure, but my hands hurt so bad. It hurt to hold her. She's about 2 years old at the time. So I knew that there was something there. And so I'm just kind of going with that and pursuing that direction with my life. And it means that I've been meditating a lot. I've become very centered. I'm focusing on the positive things. Of course, there are things in my life that are hard, but I'm not focusing on those things because that doesn't serve me in any way and it doesn't move me forward. So I'm focusing on the things that will move me forward in a positive way. And I know that everything else is going to go into place because I have done the work that I need to do to make sure that is the case. So yeah, things are definitely moving forward. I have been working on becoming a Reiki master for over a year, I believe. And So there's level 1, 2, and master. But the thing is that I personally have never had a Reiki session. So I've been doing it all distance learning. And so now I'm going to meet with a master, and I'm actually going to meet with another master and have a session so that I can feel what it feels like to be on the other side of it versus the working side of it. And it's really, for me, it's really, really interesting because I have, with the training I've already done, I'll just share a little story. One of my girls, she is like faints at the sight of blood, and she doesn't like to talk about it. So that's not what we're talking about, but I just wanted to share that part with you. So we were at a friend's house, and she was pecked by a rooster in the leg, and she fainted. And she was in so much pain, and she was just like shaking and crying and really loud. And I asked her just to lay down, and I did Reiki on her, and I asked her to shut her eyes, and I didn't touch her. There was no contact. And I did Reiki on her, and she's like, "What did you do? It doesn't hurt at all." And she just like totally stopped crying. Like it was awesome. It was really cool. And I have experienced that before in a different level, but before I knew Reiki. But it was just really cool. And I just wanted to share with you kind of like the other direction that things are going for me as well, because that's something I'm going to be doing into the future as well. And setting up kind of probably a practice or something to go with that, because it's very interesting to me. It doesn't go beyond like my already set up belief system. It fits nicely with the things I believe, and that that there's more that we can't see than that we can, and this just fits perfectly into that. So that's something that I've kind of kept under my hat for the last year. I haven't told very many people. My immediate family knows, like my girls know, my sister knows, and the 2 Reiki masters I've been in contact with, that's it. I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. Oh, one of my friends, I told her about it, but it's something that I'm really interested in. And it is, I feel like I'm here at this time for a specific purpose, and my whole life lines up with how I think that I should be living my life, if that makes sense. So this is just an extension of that. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, so I think that's it for me for today. Thanks for that little jibber jabber thing at the end. I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't yet, click that subscribe button and also click on that little bell. If you're interested in supporting the podcast, you can watch the ads at the end. You can purchase any one of my designs. Also, the link is below. And there's also a PayPal page, so you can hit that donate button and donate if you so choose. So that is it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have an amazing week. Until next time.